Hi, I'm Bob Samble, the founder of Bob's Steak and Chop House, and I'm here with Chef Tiffany Derry at her restaurant, Roots Southern Table. Tiffany's restaurant has been chosen by OpenTable as one of Dallas's iconic restaurants, and we're here to kind of talk to her about how this all came about. And I've known Tiffany for a long time. I've kind of watched her grow up in the restaurant business, and boy, has she grown up. Tiffany has, I would say, has gone from just a person that's just in there saying, I know I can do this, I know I got it right, to actually accomplishing it on a local level and now on a national level on television. So everybody kind of looks at that kind of stuff and go, wow, how did that all happen, and how did you do it? So tell us what got you started. I know what inspired me. My father took me to work with him when I was 11 years old, and I said, I want to do this. So how did Tiffany Derry all of a sudden, or what point in your life did you say, you know what, I'm going to be a chef?
Yeah, so it started with my family. So I have a really large family. My mother had 11 brothers and sisters. I have over 50 cousins. And it started in Beaumont, Texas. So I went to the local International House of Pancake, also known as IHOP. And I went in and I said I wanted to be a cook in the kitchen. And they said they didn't have any more positions available. They didn't actually do women in the kitchen. And I said, huh. And they said, well, you can be a server. I said, I'll take that. And I became a server at 15 years old. I always asked a lot of questions. I would go into the kitchen and learn things. And then one day, one of the cooks didn't show up. It happened to be on the expediter position. And one of the cooks asked me to come in. I went in, I took that apron off in front of the house, and I really haven't looked back, really. And that was the day I started as an expediter, and I have now been in the restaurant for 27 years now.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow. And so when you became a chef or a cook or however you got started, did you have in your mind the kind of food that you wanted to serve, or you still was a little bit undecided?
No, I had no clue. At the time, Bob, I wanted to own IHOPs. I wanted 3 IHOPs. That was the goal, 3. I don't know why 3, but I think it was because I felt like it's what I could handle. But that was the goal. I always knew ownership was what I wanted. It wasn't until later going into culinary school, truly understanding what that could look like. I couldn't even really, dreaming big was 3 restaurants, owning 3, that would be incredible. So thinking outside of that, I wasn't thinking about TV at that time. I wasn't thinking about really, anything more than just being able to say, wow, I have 3 IHOPs.
All that syrup, all those different kinds of syrup. I mean, you had to keep track of that.
Oh my gosh, it's a lot of egg flipping. But yeah, that was the goal then.
So you had that goal, and then what was it? I have in my mind what triggered me to want to go into the steakhouse business, because I've worked in restaurants, but I know what triggered me to say I want to be a steakhouse guy. What triggered you for this restaurant, Roots Southern Table, which has gotten national acclaim, obviously OpenTable notices, and a lot of people in Dallas notice. So how did this come?
I came out of culinary school and I worked for Italian restaurants. So I worked for the Land Use Corporation at the time, and I would go and I would help open restaurants for them. So that was sort of what I did, and that's how I got to Dallas. So I was living in Houston and eventually came to Dallas. I spent a lot of years doing Italian cuisine, and then I spent a lot of years doing seafood. While on this journey of learning about everything else, I would get out of country once a year. I made a vow to myself to go out of country, to study abroad, to learn all the things. But in learning all of this about everyone else's cuisine, I felt like my own Southern roots, that I didn't feel that. I didn't see it here in Dallas, and I wanted it to be on main stage. So that was sort of about 11 years ago when I really started to develop what I wanted in that restaurant. Before, it was sort of what everyone else wanted, and I would just do it because I did a lot of things good, and I would study. I love learning about cuisine. I love just learning. And so that was the start. But about 11 years ago, I started dreaming of Roots Southern Table. And we've now been, it's 4 years, and it took me a while to truly understand it, to figure out, one, how do I make it happen? Because it was just a dream. I had no money. So like, how do you go with, I want to open a restaurant and I have no money and I have no proof of concept yet, right? And so it just took a little bit of time.
Yeah. So where'd you go to culinary school? First culinary school?
The Art Institute of Houston.
Oh wow, okay. And so you go to culinary school, you're working for other people, you have in your mind what you're gonna do. And I know, being that you're such a becoming food celebrity now, a lot of young people come up to you and say, Tiffany, how do I get started? What do I do? And I know what I tell them. What do you tell them?
Say first, figure out what do you really love. Do you love the aspect of just cooking? Do you love the aspect of TV or being known for a cook? And before you open a restaurant, go work in a restaurant. Before you go to culinary school, go actually work in a restaurant. See what that grind looks like, right? Understand that you thinking you're gonna be in holiday enjoying your family and time as a young cook, but no, you're the one cooking for everyone else, right? And so just really making sure this is what you wanna do. There are so many aspects of our industry that it doesn't have to be just in the restaurant. When I see people who tell me they wanna be on TV, you know, it's sort of, for me, it's like, ugh. Why? You know, just the TV part? Is there a passion for food? Is there other things to support it? Because I look at TV as a marketing and a thing for our restaurants. And so for me, having a place for people to dine and be able to enjoy themselves is the most important thing.
Yeah. You know, I've had Bob Steak and Chop House for 31 years. Before that, I worked for a lot of other people. Started off working with my dad and was fortunate enough to work with some great restaurateurs and entrepreneurs. And I think back to those guys and I say, wow, they really inspired me, they changed me. So who in your history made an impression on you and kind of altered the way you thought?
I'd have to say first my mother. My mom is an excellent cook, like excellent. Like we should all be so lucky to eat her food, right? But that was sort of the roots of it all. That was like the person teaching me about flavors and seasoning and all of that. A little bit later down the road, I met a chef by the name of Mark Holly in Houston, and he was the first time ever that I saw a black chef running an establishment, a fine dining restaurant. And he was bigger than life. I mean, he was that guy that was walking around the dining room, you know, 6'3". He's like shaking hands, kissing babies, and I'm like, look at that guy, you know, no longer just in the kitchen. And so that was my mentor, and that was the person that showed me that, you know, I can do more, I can have more, it's okay to dream. And also showed me more about the business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know, as we all get older and our restaurants evolve, and we think about what we want to do in the future, or, you know, I know how I am. I start to do other things I start to think about, but I think about the foundation of what made our restaurants great. And you gotta stick to it. You can't never leave that, because that's why people came. And one thing you do that I admire is, yeah, you're on TV, but then you're also at your restaurant. And when young people come to me and ask those same questions, I want to be on TV, I want to do this. Now what you want to do is you want to start with a restaurant. See if you can do it. Because I'm sure if you talk to Bobby Flay, if you talk to all these guys, they'll tell you they started at that restaurant.
Absolutely.
Where they slept in the booth.
Yes.
Or they couldn't hire anybody, so they just worked 18 hours a day. And there's no substitute for that.
None at all. I mean, 100%. It's funny how no matter how old, no matter where you're from, no matter, we all have those similar stories of the beginning, because it takes grit. It takes perseverance. You know, you have to get in there. You have to do it. And the restaurant business is such a tricky one, because there's no direct road. We all can kind of go a different way, but there's no getting around the work. The work has to get done.
No. And you know what's fascinating about your story is you were inspired by IHOP, okay? Because you realized it took work to pull off an IHOP.
Yeah.
And then you took that work ethic and you instilled it in whatever you do and whatever you're doing now. But what the best part of this whole deal we're doing here is we get to taste some of your food.
Yeah.
So tell me what we're going to be tasting.
So we're gonna do our duck fat fried chicken. You know, we have Roots Chicken Shack, and I don't think you've met my partner. My partner Tom Foley and I. We have TTD restaurant group. And so that has Roots Chicken Shack, that one in Plano, one in Austin, and we're building one in DeSoto. But we also have here Roots Southern Table, and then we have Radici, which is just a couple doors down, which is our Italian concept. And then we're building a Radici also in Granbury at the Epic.
Yeah.
But today, one of the things that started everything was the duck fat fried chicken. So I felt like you couldn't come here and not have duck fat fried chicken.
Right.
It's our baby. It's our bread and butter. It's what pays the bills, you know?